Deputies spending hours combing through the trash at Northwest Regional Landfill off 195th Avenue and Deer Valley in Surprise.
MCSO says strong evidence led homicide detectives here on March 29th, just 4 days after their investigation began.
They're just digging around the spots where they think the professor is.
That's a landfill employee who asked to remain anonymous. He also says detectives must have an idea of where in the valley the body came from and on what day, based on their targeted searching.
So he struck his track on the dumpings and everything. They put it in a log.
And after months of searching, MCSO has found the remains of missing ASU professor Jun-Suk Che. MCSO spent more than $300,000 and 7,200 man-hours searching for Che's body.
Several ASU students telling me they were told their professor, who has the same name, went missing in March and was later replaced. Now, Professor Che teaches several engineering courses at ASU and is involved in several research projects on brain and lung functions, even creating a wireless prototype for safer brain implants. He also holds 4 patents and has his own book.
Professor was reported missing at the end of March. His car tracked to Shreveport, Louisiana. That's where officers questioned Javian Ezell and Gabriel Austin, both 18 years old. Investigators say Che was killed near Carefree Highway and 7th Street. His body put in a dumpster that was then emptied into the Northwest Regional Landfill. Both of those teenagers are in a Valley jail on $1 million bond each. No word at this hour on a motive.
While family and friends want justice, it won't bring the professor back. An ASU coworker telling me he was an incredibly kind man, a brilliant mind, and will be missed by everyone he knew.
And part of what we're hearing is that the alleged motive may have been robbery, is what prosecutors may argue here. And the professor lured out into the desert where this couple apparently was living in a tent or something for sex, money for sex. So there was something perhaps going on online. He's lured out there and then killed. That's what prosecutors may argue. Of course, like any defendant, presumed innocent. Let's bring in from Phoenix, Arizona, the attorney who represented Jodi Arias, but don't hold that against him. He tried to get out of it. He hates her more than you do. Kirk Nurmi is with us. Kirk, great to see you.
Hey, Vinny, good to see you. Good to have you back on the air.
Yeah, it is great to be back. Thanks so much. Let's start with the age of these defendants, because that's the first thing that jumps out to me. We've got this young couple. They're both 18 years old. What, if any, role does that play in the way this case plays out in Arizona, in Maricopa County? Does it have any impact at all, the fact that they were 18 when all this took place?
I don't really think so. I mean, it's not a death penalty case. We don't have any of those factors at play here. So I think they are by law adults and are charged as such. And I don't think that's really going to have an impact on the evidence or any of the outcome of the trial.
Would it be? Would you make it a part of any case if you're defending either one of them? At any point, obviously, if they're going to be sentenced, it becomes an issue. But does it play at all during the course of the trial? How young they are?
No, you're right. I mean, it would come into play in sentencing, but not in the trial. I mean, that's not evidence, right? I mean, the jury's going to know their age ultimately from the police reports and that sort of discussion. But ultimately, that's not evidence to show innocence, if you will, Vinny.
All right. Let's talk about the fact that there's 2 of them. And in most cases where there's 2, sometimes there's a race to the prosecution. One cuts a deal. Again, this is where I think the age comes into play, right? They're 18. So there's an opportunity to get a severe sentence and still at some day leave prison, right? Would you think that one or the other is attempting to strike some sort of a deal? And how are folks in Maricopa County about cutting deals like that?
Well, yeah, ultimately, the answer to your question is yes, and I think that race has already been run because remember in this report we just saw, they had quote-unquote strong evidence regarding what dumpster he was put in and when his body was taken out. That tells me that someone in that car in that traffic stop in Shreveport gave a confession of sorts detailing exactly what happened. So whichever of the 2 individuals did that has already probably run that race. Now, the question will be, in terms of your broader question, how will that play out? It depends how bad they needed that evidence, right? It was given at a police stop. If my speculation is correct, it was given at a traffic stop. There was no real negotiation, so the defendant who gave that doesn't have any real power in their position, but it could come into play in terms of sentencing or the potential for a deal if they feel like that testimony is needed to convict the other individual.
All right, from the outside looking in, it seems like this is a relatively strong case for prosecutors. They were found in the car in Louisiana, so that's a big, big fact. Obviously, someone gave them the information. How about the forensics here? Because a body's put into a dumpster, ends up in a landfill. How much do you suspect that investigators were able to get from the remains and figure out about how he died and when he died and all those questions?
Boy, that's a tough one because we don't know the condition of the body, right? We don't know what it was like when we found it. And that's where we go back to what we were talking about earlier. How much does the confession of one of these suspects play into this in terms of manner of death and exactly what happened, right? Because those are the factors that prosecutors are going to want to show the jury to tell that story. And we don't know what the forensics are going to tell, but of course, a firsthand witness, meaning one of the co-defendants, could very well fill in that story for the jury and for the prosecution.
All right, I'm going to fill in. I know exactly what the defense is going to be here, by the way. I've been doing this way too long, Kirk. Here it is.
Uh-oh. Okay, here we go.
They're going to go with there's some electronic trail that there was a deal, money for sex. They got out there. He started to get aggressive, and it's almost like a self-defense because he got overly aggressive out in the desert or wherever they met. They were supposed to do this money for sex deal, and the deal fell through because the professor got too aggressive, and they were just acting out, and then they panicked. They didn't know what to do. They panicked. And that's why they dumped the body and they fled to Louisiana.
I think you're about 90% right, Vinny. I would say that it's not going to be a self-defense argument in Arizona, given the law around that. But I do think it's going to be a robbery gone bad, a moment of panic, and we didn't know what to do. And so we took his car and drove to Louisiana. I think ultimately that's going to be the story that the defense attorneys are going to tell.
All right. I want to put a picture up because I don't know if you know, Kirk, we are now on in the UK. So I'd like to put a picture up to welcome all the viewers in the UK. And this is Kirk Nerman. No, the other picture, guys. That's not the one I want. The other one. Wait for it. Do we have it? There it is. Kirk Nerman.
Who is that handsome guy, Vinny?
Kirk Nerman and the one-man show. Do you have the one-man show up and running again?
Oh, that's even a better picture. Look, I keep getting more handsome, Vinny. What was it? Yeah, we debuted the one-man show last Sunday night, the 18th, in Glendale, Arizona. We were finally able to get a venue open, and it was a sold-out crowd. And it was just a lot of fun to tell my story with a little humor and give people a little insight into who I am, not just the guy they saw on January 2nd, 2013, trying the Arias case. So, yeah, it was a lot of fun, and I'm glad you shared that with the U.S. and your new friends over in the UK. That's really great.
Awesome. All right. Kirk Nerman, always great to have you on the program. Stay safe, my friend, and we will speak soon again.
Take care, Vinny.
All right, folks, we are going to continue to track this case. We've got a pretrial conference on March 11th, 2021, and, of course, a tentative trial date of March 18th, 2021, which is just about the same date as every other trial in all these jurisdictions that have been shut down. But we, of course, will stay on top of it. When we